Have you considered that your way of offering appreciation might only be touching the surface? Words like, "You are beautiful," or "You look lovely," are like stones skipping across water. They create a brief ripple, a momentary pleasure, but they don't explore the depths below. If these words have been offered to her countless times, why would your voice be the one that echoes? A true connection is not forged in the light of flattery. It is discovered in a space of shared awareness, where another feels truly seen, understood in their spirit and mind. This requires a different quality of expression, one that moves with quiet intention, one that speaks to the essence she holds within. It creates a presence she feels long after your conversation has ended. This path is not about impressing someone, it is about expressing truth. Here, we explore 3 profound ways to communicate. They resonate not because they are clever, but because they carry the weight of genuine observation. Before we begin, consider subscribing. We share insights for those ready to walk a more conscious path. If you wish to journey deeper into this stillness, join our community for the tools to cultivate an unforgettable presence. Now, let us explore the words that fade and the ones that remain. 1. Move beyond the reflection in the mirror. You've likely said it before, "You are beautiful." It feels like a kind and gentle thing to say, a gesture of respect or even affection. Yet, let's observe this with clarity. Does it truly connect? She has heard this from many who desire her presence, from passing words to fleeting messages. The phrase, while kind, has lost its anchor. It is a cloud passing in the sky. It touches nothing substantial. When you tell a woman she is beautiful, you are affirming something the world already tells her. You offer no new light. You create no unexpected stillness in her mind. Now understand this. Acknowledging beauty is natural, but expressing it in a way that blends into the chorus of every other voice does not distinguish your presence. It simply adds to the noise. What if you shared the effect of her presence on your own inner state? Instead of, "You are beautiful," consider these words. There is a profound stillness in the way you hold my gaze. Do you feel the shift? The focus moves from a label to a shared experience, from passive admiration to the subtle energy flowing between 2 people. You are inviting her into the present moment with you. You awaken her own awareness, not just acknowledge an attribute. Or perhaps this: "I can't tell if you are a question I wish to understand or a landscape I simply wish to be in." This is no longer about her appearance. It is an honest reflection of your experience of her spirit. And this is the core of real connection. People are not moved by being told what they already know. They are moved by feeling truly met, by being seen in a way that requires stillness and authentic courage to voice. To journey even deeper, offer an observation that shifts the entire flow. Try, you carry your grace as if you are unaware of its weight. That is a rare quality. Now, you are not just seeing her beauty, you are seeing her relationship with it. You are looking past the transient forms to the permanent essence. This is where the true power of words resides. Not in praising the obvious, but in illuminating the unseen. Let us see this with clarity. There are 3 levels of communication. 1. Surface words. "You are beautiful." "You look nice." These are gentle winds, pleasant but passing. 2. Energetic words. There is a quality in your movements, a stillness in your presence. "I feel it deeply." These build a bridge of awareness and shared energy. 3. Soulful words. "Your presence stills the rushing thoughts in my mind." You walk as if you have already made peace with your path. These words invite her into a shared inner world. They find a home in her mind and heart. When you cease speaking of the surface and begin to share your experience, you stand apart, for most have not learned to speak from this place of stillness. But you are learning to speak directly to the soul, not just to the ears. And here is the difference between a weak branch and a rooted tree. You do not offer these words to receive something in return. You offer them because they are an expression of your present moment truth, because you are grounded enough to voice what others filter. That quality of delivery, it resonates, it remains. It is what allows your presence to be felt. long after you are gone. Let me offer you this question. Have you ever spoken a truth that made her pause, look at you for a moment longer, with a smile of deep recognition? If so, share "I have felt that stillness" in the comments. If you have, you know the power of saying little, but meaning much. And if you have not, today is a new beginning. Because your next words do not just matter, they create the very energy she will either connect with or let drift away. The insight we are about to share, very few have the courage to embody it. Yet once you do, her own awareness will amplify it. 2. The expression that connects presence and essence. Most words of appreciation land in one of two places. They touch upon the forms. That is a lovely dress. You have graceful hands. Or they attempt to touch upon the mind. You are intelligent. You are very insightful. But rarely do they unify the two. And this is why many connections remain shallow, like a river that never deepens. Consider this. A person does not merely wish to be desired for their form. They long to be understood and felt at the same time. This is what quiets the mind. This is what resonates in their being. This is what makes them wish to experience more of your presence, not just more of your words. So, what does this sound like? Consider this observation. You move with a quiet sense of purpose. And it would be untrue if I said my mind wasn't curious about it. Let's breathe with that for a moment. You move with a quiet sense of purpose. This is an awareness of her presence. It makes her feel seen. It speaks to the spirit. It's not about her form, but about her essence. Then, and it would be untrue if I said my mind wasn't curious about it. That is the gentle invitation. It speaks to her physical being through its effect on your own state. It makes her wonder, what is he curious about? You have created a field of gentle curiosity without being demanding. It is sincere, it is clear, and it honors the space between you. You are not speaking for validation. You are sharing a resonance she has created within you. This balances the flow of energy, and we all feel that subtle shift. Here is another. The way you can sit in stillness with such inner authority, it is deeply compelling. This one is psychological. It speaks to her self-possession, her grace, her power, and you are responding not with empty praise, but with honest intrigue. You are not just seeing her form, you are acknowledging the language of her entire being. That is rare. Why is this significant? Because we are not drawn to those who only see our surface. We are drawn to those who can perceive our layers. The physical, yes, but also the spirit, the energy, the quiet command we hold. It is like this. You are not just describing her physical shell. You are acknowledging the field of energy she emanates from a place of grounded awareness. And that is an expression that lands in both her soul and her body. Let me offer one more. You seem to be a woman who knows exactly when to speak and when to hold silence. Now this one is profound. Why? Because you are not just offering a compliment. You are showing that you perceive her discipline, her restraint. You are seeing a subtle yet powerful form of inner mastery. She will remember this because almost no one else speaks of it. And that is the purpose. Now let it be clear, none of these expressions will resonate if they are delivered like a practiced line or from a place of needing to impress. The power is not only in what you say, it is in the state from which you say it. Relaxed, certain, as if you are not searching for approval. You are simply sharing an observed truth, because when a man speaks from that stillness, he is not just another voice. He becomes an experience she will contemplate in her own quiet moments. And this is how a true connection is forged. She is not recalling empty words. She is recalling the feeling your presence gave her when you spoke. So, I will ask you this. Have you ever shared a thought that made her breath catch for a moment, as if her body was attuning to what her soul just heard? If so, comment, "I have seen it resonate," because that is when you know the words landed in both realms. And if you haven't, you are on the path now, because what comes next will help her feel a connection that many are too hurried to ever cultivate. Let's continue. 3. Acknowledge her wholeness, not just her light. Most men only speak to what is obvious. You are kind. You are pleasant. You have a positive nature. These are safe, familiar, and quickly forgotten. And here is what they fail to understand. A woman does not wish to be seen as a perfect statue. She longs to be seen as a real river, with currents, depths, and shadows. So while everyone else is praising her sunlit surface, you can choose to acknowledge her wholeness. That part she might keep hidden. The intensity she feels is too much. The raw energy she has been told by the world to soften, to make gentle. You don't ignore it. You meet it. You let her feel that the very part of her she tries to manage is the part that you can see with peace. Try this perspective. There is an untamed spirit in you. I don't know whether to lean closer or to simply admire it from a distance. Pause here. You did not call her attractive. You did not call her pleasant. You spoke of the untamed nature within her, and you are drawn to it without fear. That recognition can awaken something in her consciousness. She may have spent years trying to be good enough, kind enough, easy to be around, but suddenly, a person sees the fire beneath the calm, and they are not afraid of it. That is rare. That is profoundly connecting. Or consider this: you possess the kind of presence that doesn't ask for space. It creates it. Think on that. You are not praising her kindness. You are acknowledging a strength behind her eyes, a strength many are too unsettled to name. And when you do, you distinguish your presence from all those who are only seeking a pretty surface and easy comfort. Let's go deeper. Why does acknowledging her full self work so profoundly? Because it is taboo. Because it is real. Because it tells her, I am not intimidated by your depths. In fact, that is the landscape I find most compelling. This is connecting in a way that compliments about appearance can never be. Because it is not about the shell, it is about permission. You are offering her permission to be unpolished, untamed, wild, powerful, real. And you are saying, without needing the words, I can sit with all of who you are. That is not just attractive, that is magnetic. Let's remember, this kind of observation only has power if you are grounded enough to truly mean it. If you say it as a strategy, its life force is gone. But if you speak from a place of presence, clarity, and calm, it lands. Because deep down, every person knows their inner shadows are not wrong. They have just been concealed. And when someone sees them without flinching, that person is remembered. Try this on an early meeting. You have a little beautiful chaos in your eyes. It is perhaps my favorite quality in you so far. Instantly, you move past shallow conversation. You are touching upon something she may not have had acknowledged since the last person who truly met her mind. Not just her body, her mind. You are not afraid of her storm. You are admiring the patterns in the rain. So, tell me, have you ever looked a person in the eye and acknowledged the very thing they were afraid to show? If so, drop "I spoke the quiet truth" in the comments. That is where connection ceases to be polite and starts to become real. And in the next insight, you will learn exactly how to share something she has never heard, but will instantly wish she had heard from you sooner. 4. Speak to the strengths she is hesitant to claim. Every woman possesses qualities she values but rarely speaks of. It's not the conventional things, not the compliments everyone offers like, "I like your style," or "you're so warm." It is something deeper, more personal, and sometimes it is a quality she has been taught to downplay. Many women carry powerful energies that they sheathe in politeness, a desire for influence, for quiet authority, for leading, for being seen in ways she feels she should not openly admit. And this is where your awareness comes in. While most are complimenting the polished surface, you can speak to the truth she lives but does not name. When this truth is reflected back to her, her defenses may soften. The connection shifts from being logical to being felt. Let me show you how this may feel. Try this. You love to be in a position of leadership, but I sense a part of you also longs for the freedom to release that control. This is not just a phrase, it is a shared insight. And if you offer it with calm certainty, not with arrogance, it may resonate with her like a soft bell. Why? Because it acknowledges an inner tension she lives with daily. She might be a powerful force in her world, But what she may seek in connection is a different kind of energetic dance, a balance, a release. You have just voiced something she may not have dared to voice herself. That holds power. Or consider this one. You carry yourself as if you do not seek attention, but your energy tells another story. Delivered correctly, this is not a judgment. It is recognition. It is saying, I see you. Not the performance, but the life force underneath. And that can be deeply affirming. Here is what you must understand. When you acknowledge a part of her she is uncertain about, you are telling her, it is safe to be your whole self around me. Not the practice version, not the nice girl, but the complete, authentic, powerful, and sometimes conflicted human being. And that is rare. Most women are not met in that space. They are either idealized on a pedestal or drawn into something superficial. Very few men know how to stand in the middle, grounded, clear, and courageous enough to acknowledge the fire she may hide. Here is another example. There is a quiet hunger beneath all that calm. I would be dishonest if I said I wasn't curious about it. You are not saying she is too much. You are saying she is exactly the kind of alive that you resonate with. The moment you say it, you have offered a kind of validation that doesn't just feel pleasant, it feels true. Let me be clear, however. This only has meaning if you are genuine. If you are present, if you are not performing a role. The second it is perceived as a tactic, it dissolves. But when it is truth, it is unforgettable. Because for any of us, connection is not just about who the other person is. It is about how they see us. And if you can see the parts of her that others do not notice, especially the ones she doesn't fully embrace herself, you establish a profound connection. So, allow me to ask you this. Have you ever said something to a woman that made her pause? As if you had just spoken a truth she didn't know you could see? If yes, type in the comments, I saw the truth in her eyes. Because if you have ever seen that flicker, that momentary flash of how did he know that, you understand how deeply this resonates. And if you haven't yet, you are about to. Because the next form of communication we will explore shifts the entire dynamic and invites her to seek out the feeling that only your presence can provide. 5. Make her feel seen, not just wanted. Most men follow a common path. They believe that creating a sense of desire is the ultimate goal. They pour their energy into expressions like, you're so attractive, you are alluring, I want you. And while that kind of energy might elicit a playful response, here is a deeper truth. Desire is a common currency. Every woman receives it daily, online, in public, in passing glances. Desire is everywhere, but being truly seen, being genuinely perceived, that is as rare as a pearl. And when you are the man who makes her feel seen, you connect to something no surface compliment ever could. Let me illustrate what I mean. Most men praise the effect. You are beautiful. I can't take my eyes off you. You make me feel a certain way. But the words that truly land, they acknowledge the cause. Try this. You seem to understand people before they even speak. I can see you carry that perception quietly, but it is a sharp instrument. You did not call her attractive. You did not comment on her appearance. You told her, I see the way you navigate the world, and I honor it. That resonates on a soul level. Or this, you behave as if you do not need approval, yet you are completely aware of your effect when you enter a space. Now you have made her feel understood. Not just looked at, not just wanted, understood. That is an uncommon feeling, and the uncommon holds great power. Why? Because any person, especially one accustomed to being wanted for their form, learns to filter out such words. They develop an armor. They become numb to it. But when you move through the cracks with a sentence that says, I see the real you behind the mask, and I appreciate that version even more, that armor begins to soften. You are not just another person wanting something from her. You are a man who is noticing what no one else takes the stillness to see. That is what gets remembered. That is what sets you apart. Let us go deeper. Most men give validation to receive a response. But when you validate what is unseen, you are not seeking, you are offering. You offer presence, insight, depth. And whether she acknowledges it or not, that kind of communication lands in a way she will not forget. Consider this one. You appear to be perfectly in control, but I imagine your mind never truly stops. That single line achieves two things. One, it demonstrates an emotional awareness. Two, it makes her feel that you are paying attention to the subtle things, the tone, the energy, the unspoken vibrations that most people miss. It's not overtly romantic, it is not sexual, but it is unshakable. It is the kind of observation that echoes in her thoughts later, because every woman knows what it feels like to be desired. But to be seen without performing, without forcing a smile, without needing to reveal her form, that hits differently. Now, I am not suggesting you should avoid sharing feelings of attraction. Desire is a powerful energy, but it should never be the only gate you enter. Lead with awareness. Lead with a grounded perception. Allow her to feel that you have seen the version of her that is hidden beneath all the surface level words she normally receives. Then, if you later choose to express desire, it will feel earned, real, and rooted in something much deeper. So let me ask, have you ever said something to a woman that made her stop smiling and simply look at you as if you touched upon something real? If so, drop, she paused, in the comments, because that pause, that is where genuine connection begins. And the insight we will cover next does not just create a pause. It makes her start to imagine the path you could both walk together. 6. Speak the truth others are afraid to voice. Let me share something most men are not taught. Women do not remember the man who played it safe. They remember the man who made them feel something real. And that does not happen when you say what is expected. It happens when you speak a truth that no one else has the courage to share. Here is the trap most men fall into. They try to be light. They seek to be gentle. They aim to be agreeable. And in doing so, they say very little of substance. They walk on thin ice. They weigh every word. They filter their own presence so intensely that it loses all its life force. And what happens? She feels that. She does not feel excitement. She does not feel curiosity. She feels a polite emptiness. But the man who steps in and speaks a truth she has never heard voiced before, he does not just stand apart. He takes up residence in her mind. So what does that sound like? Here is one perspective. I don't always trust a constant smile. It can sometimes hide the deepest river. Now pause. You have not insulted her. You have not been aggressive. You have just shared a universal truth that many are too polite to say. It is bold, it is perceptive, it is thought-provoking. But most importantly, it is authentic. And women do not crave more empty compliments. They crave truth that awakens their own awareness. Or try this observation. You seem like the kind of person who keeps others at a distance until they prove they can handle your depth. That is not a flirtation. That is not a sugary phrase. That is a man with his eyes open. A man who is not afraid to speak to patterns instead of tiptoeing around them. Why does this resonate? Because women are accustomed to men who are hiding. Hiding their own perceptions, hiding their own power, hiding behind compliments in hopes of receiving something. But when you speak without fear, she leans in. Not because you are definitively right, but because you are real. You did not say what she wanted to hear. You said what no one else would speak. And that awakens a connection that runs deeper than superficial charm ever could. Let me go further. It matters less to me if you like me. It matters more that we are honest with each other. That statement ends the performance. You have just told her this interaction is not about winning approval. It is about forging a genuine connection, without masks. And that is incredibly rare. Now understand this. Speaking these truths only has power if your presence is grounded. If you are trying to be provocative just to get a reaction, she will feel the lack of foundation. But if your energy is calm, clear, and detached from the outcome, that is when it lands. That is when she becomes curious. That is when you become a space of authenticity she wants to explore. Because most men try to earn her attention. You simply speak what is truly on your mind. Not to offend, not to manipulate, but because you are finished with pretending. and that makes her feel something she cannot quite name but will never forget. You see, the most courageous thing a man can do with a woman today is to tell his truth, even when it feels uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, because her external beauty doesn't sway you. Her social graces don't distract you. Her validation is not your aim. You are the one who sees through the performance and has the courage to speak to the human being underneath. So, here is my question for you. Have you ever said something so true that she did not know whether to smile or simply reflect on it? Drop in the comments, "I spoke the quiet part aloud." Because if you have already felt this shift in energy. And if you have not, you are about to. Because in the next section, we are going to change the entire dynamic. And I will show you one kind of communication that commands attention, even when spoken with your eyes and not your mouth. 7. Offer your words with intention, like a rare gift. Here is a clear truth. Most men distribute compliments like common stones, easy to find, instantly offered, and everywhere. You look fantastic. You are so brilliant. You are magnificent. And what is the result? The words lose their meaning. She hears them so often they become like the sound of distant traffic. But you are not most men. You can offer your words like a king offers a decree. Kings do not speak to impress. They speak to declare. They speak from a place of intention, not from impulse. So, let me ask you this: when was the last time you withheld a surface compliment? Not from fear, but from a place of inner power. Rarity creates value, and when your words are rare, your presence becomes unforgettable. You see, a woman's soul does not crave empty flattery. It craves a sense of certainty. The kind of energy that doesn't feel the need to rush in and perform. Let us take this further. Imagine you are in a wonderful conversation with her. Most men would already be sprinkling compliments like rain, but you remain calm, curious, and grounded. And then, after allowing her space to speak, watching her energy unfold, you might look at her and say, "You know, the way your mind connects ideas, that is a rare thing to witness." And with that, you have given her one precise, undeniable, and valuable observation. No filler, no attempt to win her favor. Just a single sentence that resonates deeply, precisely because you allowed the space for it to be born. That is what intentional presence does. Or consider this: there is a stillness in you most people likely miss. I appreciate it. That kind of observation doesn't just make her feel admired, it makes her feel deeply seen. And the best part, because you did not dilute it with 10 other empty phrases, that one statement echoes in the silence. Now, let me explain why this works. Ancient wisdom is clear on this: the less available something is, the more profound its value. When you make your words of praise intentional and rare, you shift the entire energetic dynamic. She begins to wonder, what prompted him to say that right now? Why did he choose that particular moment? What else is he perceiving that he has not yet spoken? Now her awareness is engaged. Now she is leaning into the connection. Now you are holding the frame, not chasing it. Let us look at the opposite for a moment. When you compliment too frequently, you place yourself in the position of an admirer seeking favor. You lower your own energetic center. You become the one striving for her approval. But when you speak like a man who does not require approval, who offers his observations sparingly because he knows their worth, you activate a connection on a level most men will never touch. You are no longer trying to be chosen. You have already chosen yourself, and she can feel it. Here is the secret. The most powerful observation is the one she feels she has earned, even if she is not sure what she did to earn it. Because that mystery, that space, it keeps her mind engaged. So, use your words with wisdom. Do not flatter just to fill the silence. Speak less, but with more presence. Say what is true, but say it as if it cost you a moment of deep contemplation to share. That is how your presence becomes unforgettable. So tell me, have you ever said less and felt the impact grow stronger? Share in the comments. I speak with intention, because the man who knows the value of his words knows the value of himself. And in the next part, We will walk through how to leave an impression without a single word, using a presence so powerful she will feel it long after you are gone. 8. Transform an observation into an invitation. Let me share something profound. A compliment is just a beginning. What makes it powerful is when it opens a door, an invitation to a deeper exploration. Most men stop at simple validation. You are incredible. You are captivating. You are so sharp. It is pleasant, it is kind, but it doesn't ignite anything. Because when you tell a woman she is incredible, and she already knows this, you are just another voice in the choir. But what happens when you take that observation and gently transform it into an invitation for her to see herself more deeply? Now you have moved out of the zone of casual acquaintance. You have stepped into the frame of a man who sees her potential and is curious about it. Here is what that can look like. Let's say she is speaking about her resilience, how she never lets anyone affect her deeply. Most men would nod and say, "That is very impressive." You might say, "That strength is admirable." But I wonder if you have built your walls so high that you have forgotten how it feels to let someone truly see inside. Instantly, you have turned her proclaimed strength into a doorway. You acknowledged her power, but also gently pointed to the vulnerability that lies beneath it. And that gets remembered. Or, let's imagine she is always poised and in control, polished and respected. Most men try to gain her approval. But you could look her in the eye and say, "You strike me as someone who is accustomed to leading the way." I wonder if you still remember how to simply follow the flow. That expression that is not harsh or aggressive. It is a masculine mirror. It shows her something that has likely not been reflected back to her in a very long time. Because women do not just crave praise. They crave depth, boundaries, and a balanced polarity of energies. And when you can observe and invite in the same breath, you show her that you are not intimidated by her strength. You are not here to worship her from afar. You are here to engage. You are here to explore the path together. Let us look at the psychology of this. Compliments make her feel validated. Invitations make her feel stimulated. When you bring them together, she feels seen, alive, and intrigued. And intrigue is the soil where deep attraction grows. Because when you say what most men would not, when you stand strong enough to gently challenge her own perception of herself, she does not forget it. She might smile, she might offer a counterpoint, she might even playfully test you in return. But inside, her attention is fully engaged because you have just stepped out of the noise. You did not just echo what every other man says. You woke her up. Let me give you another example. She says, "Men are often intimidated by me." Most would quickly say, "Not me." You could say, "Perhaps they are." Or perhaps you have perfected the art of keeping them at a comfortable distance. Now she is not certain whether to challenge your perception or inquire further. Either way, you hold her attention. And that is the point. The man who can inspire both curiosity and a sense of being met becomes unforgettable. But remember this, it only works if your delivery is grounded. No arrogance, no neediness, just clarity. You are not attacking. You are not trying to prove a point. You are inviting her into a deeper version of herself, one she may not have even been aware of until you gave it a name. That is not just flirtation. That is transformational presence. So, let me ask you this. Have you ever said something to a woman that felt like a gentle dare, and you saw her spirit rise to meet it? If yes, drop in the comments. She met the invitation. Because if you have seen that spark, that flash of curiosity, recognition, and attraction all at once, you know you are not just complimenting her. You are activating her. And in the next part, we will go even further. Because now that you have sparked the invitation, you are about to learn how to say less, do less, and yet accomplish so much more. 9. Leave an echo of your presence in her mind. Let me ask you a deep question. What causes a woman to lie in bed at night and reflect on you? Not just to remember your words, but to actually wonder, why can I not shake the feeling of his presence? It is not your appearance, your profession, or your possessions. It is the psychological imprint you leave behind. If you wish to stand apart, do not just impress her. Do not just flirt. Make her feel seen so deeply that she begins to question her own self-perceptions. And here is the key: you achieve this not by pursuing her, but by leaving enough space for her mind to wander and reflect. You see, we fall for the impact of a connection, not just the interaction itself. We fall for the afterglow, not just the fleeting moment. So how do you create that? Begin by being unexpected in your observations. Share something subtle about her that feels startlingly accurate. For instance, you speak as if you are very open, but I sense you hold back the things that truly matter most. Now, she is not just reacting to you. She is reflecting on why you were able to perceive that. Or this one, you seem very calm, but your eyes are constantly taking in the energy of the room. You have not flirted. You have not offered a simple compliment. You have unlocked something. That kind of moment does not conclude when the conversation ends. It lingers. Why? Because you created an echo, and that echo continues to reverberate inside her mind long after you have gone. Let me be clear. This is not about being mysterious for its own sake. It is about being present enough to notice what others miss, and then creating enough distance for her to wonder, why did that feel different? What did he see in me? And why do I feel a pull towards that kind of awareness? That is where the real power lies. Most men try to remain on her radar by constantly sending messages and seeking attention. You can exit with precision, and your absence becomes louder than their noise. Because she does not miss you. She misses how she felt in your presence. She misses the version of herself that only emerged when you were there to witness it. Now, here is a very profound move. When she shares something vulnerable, do not react like everyone else. Do not say, "That must have been very difficult," or "I am so sorry that happened." Instead, after listening with complete presence, you can say, "That explains a certain strength I see in you." Then, simply hold the silence. Let the silence be the invitation for her to go deeper if she chooses. She will sit with that. She will think about that. She will feel your presence even when you are not physically there. And this is where psychology reveals a truth. The mind seeks to understand patterns. When you leave a space emotionally and intellectually, her own mind will work to explore it, and she will begin telling herself stories to understand the connection. Guess who the central character is? You, because you created a quality of presence that remains not through noise, but through clarity. Here is the truth. Most women forget the men who tried to be perfect, but they never forget the man who inspired them to question their own patterns, reflect on their own behavior, and feel something they could not easily explain. You become the thought that she tries to push away, but that returns in the quiet moments, when her phone is silent, when the day's distractions fade. So here is your inner challenge. Can you be so grounded, so perceptive, so present, that your absence becomes a space for her reflection? If yes, share with me in the comments. She is reflecting, but doesn't know why. Because if you have done this right, she will not just think about you. She will try to understand the feeling you awoke in her. And that is a journey she will continue until the very last moment, when you finally choose whether to welcome her into your world or continue walking your path with your power intact. In the final part, we will shift one last time and show you how to seal an impression she will never want to erase. 10. An observation that leaves her wanting more understanding. Let's talk about the kind of compliment that doesn't bring a sense of completion. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But here is a deep secret of human connection. The most powerful observation is the one that opens a door and leaves it slightly ajar. Not sealed shut, not thrown wide open, but just enough to make her wonder, what else is there? You see, most men offer compliments that end the moment they are spoken. You're beautiful, you're witty, you're captivating. The thought is complete, it's done. She has heard it countless times before. But when a man drops a line that lingers, when his observation hints at something far deeper, she does not just smile. She becomes curious for more, not more attention, but more understanding. Let me show you how this feels. She says something intelligent. Most men would reply, that's smart. You might say, I admit, I wasn't expecting that depth from you. It is subtle. It acknowledges her intelligence, but also gently suggests there is a vastness to her that she has not yet revealed. She will smile, but in her mind, she's thinking, what did he expect? What other perceptions does he have of me? Why did that feel intriguing? You did not finish the moment you started one. Or try this. She is talking about her competitive spirit. Most men say, that's attractive. You might say, I can already see that you despise losing. That is likely what keeps you restless at night. That is not just a compliment. It is an invitation to her own inner world. You are saying, I see a pattern here, but I am not going to give you the full analysis just yet. That is how you turn a simple observation into a form of mental and emotional connection. And here is the subtle art. Do not explain it. Do not justify your observation. Simply offer it and let her exist in the space it creates. We remember what we feel more profoundly than what we hear. So if you can make her feel curious, slightly off balance, and deeply seen, all at once, you are not just complimenting her, you are gently haunting her thoughts. Think about this. Most people are desperate to be fully understood. But when someone claims to understand you too quickly, it feels cheap. When someone almost understands you, when they catch glimpses of your true self, but leave you hungry for the rest, now that is deeply compelling. That is how your words become an emotional breadcrumb trail. Let us take another angle. She says something about her past, something messy, perhaps even shadowed. Most men would retreat from it, remaining polite. But you could lean in and say, that, right there, is the part of you I find most interesting. Now, you have done something powerful. You have just acknowledged the very thing she may try to hide. You have validated the chaos, the shadow, the parts she believes no one wants to touch. But you did not overdo it. You did not turn it into a therapy session. You just offered the observation, quietly and confidently. And now she is thinking about it. She is replaying it. She is wondering why that one sentence resonated so deeply. And that is what makes her desire more. Not more compliments, but more of you. Not because you said something beautiful, but because you said something no one else would have dared to acknowledge in the way that you did. That is a high level of masculine presence. Here is the mindset to embody. Every observation should raise her curiosity, not just her ego. Make her lean forward into the mystery, not relax backward in certainty. Allow her to feel slightly exposed, but completely safe in that exposure. Let her contemplate what you didn't say more than what you did. And when she walks away from you, she shouldn't feel like she's been praised. She should feel like she's been studied, admired for something so specific, so rare, that it makes her wonder, who is this man? Why do I feel this way around him? What else does he see in me? When you can trigger those questions with just a few well-chosen words, that's not a compliment. That's a seed planted in her consciousness. And some seeds, they grow into a forest of thought. So remember this, don't compliment to impress. Compliment to ignite. And if you have ever made a woman pause, smile, and then fall into a quiet contemplation, you have likely already done it. Let me know in the comments. I left her thinking. Because sometimes it is not what you say, it is what you almost say. And in that silence, in that space, that is where real desire for connection lives. And now you know, most men throw compliments hoping to get attention. You can offer them to spark emotion, connection, and memory. That is the difference between being remembered and being truly felt. If these words have spoken to something real inside of you,